Baldy, what's more alarming to you about this offense? And I'll let you jump in here, Spadoni, but is it the lack of separation of receivers gain on the outside? Is it the route concepts they're running? Or is it the lack of creativity covered for Kyle Shanahan? Because I didn't see any creativity against Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs defense this past Sunday, Baldy.
I would agree. I think the lack of separation is real. I talked to Ayuk before the game, and I just feel sick about what happened to him. He's going over the middle. It's he plays with no fear, and he took that shot from that safety, Chamari Connor, and it was just ugly. But he's the one guy that can separate because of his route running ability. But they played him up in man like they did in the Super Bowl, and even Ricky Pearsall, got a chance to get out there, made a couple catches, but he had trouble separating. And so I see it around the league. If guys aren't separating quickly, whether it's the release off the line of scrimmage, the way, say, a guy like Devontae Adams does, if you can't separate quickly, then you better figure out a way against man coverage or the anticipation of man coverage to get guys open, whether it's bunch formation, whether it's rub routes, whatever it is, then you got to help your guys out. And so I see that as an issue right now.
I don't think I've seen a worse performance at the NFL level from Brock Purdy than I did on Sunday. He just looked lost. He looked like he didn't trust his receivers, and rightfully so. No Deebo, no Juwan. Ayuk leaves. Obviously, Kittle had a big play, but even the big plays, Baldy, what were you seeing from Purdy on Sunday, and why was he struggling so much?
I don't understand the interception to Ronnie Bell. I don't know. It looked to me like Ronnie ran the wrong route, but yet Kyle and Purdy both said that he just sailed the ball. But he wins on the route. He comes back to the ball. He gets separation, but the ball is, I don't know where he's throwing. He doesn't have an occluded obstruction, on his face or anything. He's got great protection. It looks like a routine throw to the sidelines, and he sails it on Ronnie Bell. That didn't make sense. But you're right. The go route to Kittle, he gets behind Justin Reed, and, it should be a walk-in touchdown. And he underthrows it, and so it's just a big chunk, but it's not a touchdown. Same thing to Cowling. So, he looked off from the very beginning. I haven't really seen him play like that. Now, I think I've seen every one of his games and watched and studied everyone, but I haven't seen him they just looked flat as a group. But he's got to be the leader. And I'm just talking to Brady. I know he's not in love with them, but then to see him live like that, I'm sure he wasn't very complimentary with some of the things that he did in that game.
When I'm watching the game, we're doing a lot of juxtaposing between what we're seeing from Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy, right? And what separates Patrick Mahomes and the Josh Allens and the Lamar Jacksons was everything's not going well, right? When they don't have some of their top guys. How is he going to have to elevate the talent around him going forward in such a short period of time against a desperate Dallas Cowboys team?
Well, you're spot on, Joe. Spot on. You have to elevate everybody around you. That's your job. And so the offense might have to be tweaked, might have to change a little bit, but he's going to have to play better. The big thing is, converting on third downs and staying on the field. Actually what Brady said, who cares if your top two guys are down? He told me that on the sideline. Nobody cares. You got to play. You got to make, your job is to complete the pass, sustain offense, and make the big plays. That's his job. I talked to the owner, Jed York. He's going to figure out a way to write the check. But if you're going to write a check for $60 million, this is a good test to see what he can do until, I don't know what McCaffrey's status is. Nobody does. So, he's going to make a difference, I think. But I don't know how much you can count on him right now. I don't think you have to go with what you got right now in Mason and Garendo. That's what you got. And so you got Dallas coming to town. They're limping, coming off a bye. But I'm sure Michael will be back. And he always causes, problems just being on the field. So this is a good test, a really good test here for these stretch of games. I doubt Deebo's going to come off the hospital bed with pneumonia and play. So you're throwing to Ronnie Bell, you're throwing to Ricky Pearsall. This is Jacob Cowling. This is what you're throwing to. And other quarterbacks who have been paid and played at elite levels, they figure out a way. That's the challenge for him right now.
You mentioned you talked to Brady. I saw you talking to Brady. Baldy, let me tell you something. Baldy, he really makes the rounds, man. The way he works pregame, it's smart, though. He's talking, he's getting his intel, and the players respect him. To see it up close and personal, how the players see Baldy, they're like, oh, I got to stop my routine. Big Trent, I wouldn't mess with Big Trent before a game. Baldy just puts his head out. Big Trent, oh, hold on, let me take my headphones off. Let me chop it up with Baldy for about 5 minutes. I'm like, damn, I want to be Baldy one day in my life. But you talked to Brady and you mentioned it. What did Brady like about Purdy, and what didn't he like about Purdy? If there's anything he didn't like about Purdy, Baldy.
Well, I mean, I think that he thinks he's got some restrictions with his arm. He's got some restrictions with his size. Okay, you're at 6'1". You're not going to have the view that Brady had at 6'6" with an over-the-top release. He likes his ability to move. He likes his ability to process. But, the arm's never going to probably get stronger. He does have good instincts. As far as he was telling me a story about, I asked him, can you coach pocket awareness? He's like, absolutely not. He goes, either you have that or you don't. I think he's got that. But, his physical prowess, he's not going to get any faster. Mm-hmm. He's not going to get any taller. His arm's probably not going to get a lot stronger. So that's what you have to work with. And so there's some limitations. Like Mahomes never has to worry about his arm. When he's 40, he's going to be able to gunsling that thing in any direction. He's not gifted like that. But he does have a pocket awareness the way Patrick does. And he probably doesn't have the stick accuracy on the move to make every single throw when it calls for that, like we see Mahomes do for 8 years.
So watching him against Spags, and he's running his blitzes, and they're just playing man defense. We had Jerry Rice on yesterday, Baldy, and he's mentioned it. You mentioned it. Patrick Peterson's mentioned it. Jay Gruden's mentioned it. The Niners are hell-bent on making these crossers and drags and these slants work over the middle of the field. But it seems like they are hesitant to throw outside the numbers. Is that something Kyle has done over the last couple of years where he said, we're going to do what we do, but when things get congested in the middle of the field, it seems like there's no adjustment to maybe use every blade of grass like Andy does with the Kansas City Chiefs?
I would agree with that. I mean, I know Kyle wants to attack the middle of the field. I mean, the throws to Kittle in the middle of the field, he's beaten Justin Reed, and so that's a good matchup right there. So, they got that a couple of times, but they do a lot of spacing, but a lot of it is seam routes. They're not attacking cover 3 with any sort of, double moves on the outside and, post wheel routes that can attack the backside of that cover 3. It's not really what he does. There's some limitations here. I mean, without McCaffrey, which is the ultimate matchup guy, especially against linebackers, they tried to get Juice down the sideline, against Leo Chenal, and Chenal made a great play. It was there. I thought he underthrew Juice a little bit. I thought Juice had a step on him, but I thought he threw a flat ball instead of one that needed a little bit more arc. I think Purdy would agree with that, but allowed Chenal to make that play. But, they didn't get those linebackers, whether it was Tranquil or Chenal. They didn't really get them involved in coverage. And I thought they were trying to do that a little bit more, especially since they played so much 3 linebacker sets in that game. Over 50% of the defensive snaps were with those big linebackers. They were determined to stop the run. They used Bolton as a spy at times on Purdy, but they were really effective using that. And, outside of the one Mason run in the fourth quarter, they really contained the running game all day.